So this video is about word debate. I'll be giving you 3 pairs of words. In each pair, the meaning will be similar, but there will be subtle difference. One is positive, one is negative. By the end of this video, you would know 6 different words. They will be very useful in your communication and you can inspire people. So let's begin. So the number 1 is Loquacious versus Garrulous. Now stay with me because these 2 words are very important in your day-to-day life to describe people's nature, their personality. These 2 words describe the way people talk, like people who love to talk basically, but they have subtle differences. Loquacious is someone who loves to talk. They articulate things and they keep the conversation going. They will make people listen to them. They will be really expressive in the way they talk, very charming. So that we say loquacious. Whereas garrulous people love to talk, but they talk aimlessly. Someone who talks a lot, often too much to the point we want to get away from them. So that we say garrulous. You're sitting in your classroom listening to your professor talk. The way he describes the history makes you go back in time and revisit those places. And you listen to it keenly and you don't want him to finish the subject. That is a loquacious professor. Whereas garrulous, imagine you are going to a wedding and there you have been seated to have your feast. And there comes a long distance relative of yours, and the moment he saw you, he didn't even ask about you, he didn't even consider about your life. Instead, he talks aimlessly about his life, his achievements, his goals, his negative things, just blabbering to you. And you want to be polite, but mentally you want to get away from him. So that is a garrulous person. So now you get it? So these 2 words, one is acceptable, one is not. So loquacious is positive, it's engaging, it's admirable. Garrulous is negative, not engaging, want to leave that conversation. And number 2 is tenacious versus obstinate. I've already shared the word tenacious, someone who doesn't want to give up, someone who's so determined in their life goals. So that is tenacious. The word obstinate also describes someone who doesn't want to give up, but in a negative way. Someone who's rigid in their negative traits. Imagine you are seeing your neighbor wakes up at 5 a.m. every morning going for a run. Whether it's a rainy day, whether it's freezing, whether it's a sunny day, he wakes up at 5 a.m. and goes for a run every single day. That is a tenacious neighbor. That person doesn't want to give up. Despite the situation he is in, he doesn't want to give up. Determined for a positive outcome. So that is a tenacious person. Whereas an obstinate person also doesn't want to give up. Basically, that person is stubborn and resists to change. For example, you see a kid and he hurt another kid in the playground. You want to correct that kid and you go to him and you say, hey, what you did was wrong. You have to ask him sorry. But that kid refuses to ask sorry. So that is an obstinate child. That is an obstinate kid who refuses to admit that he made a mistake. Now can you understand? He doesn't want to give up on his negative traits. He doesn't want to admit that he is wrong. So that we say obstinate. So tenacious is persistence with purpose. Obstinate is persistence without flexibility. That person is rigid. That person is not flexible. Yeah, basically someone who doesn't want to change for the better. And number 3, frugal versus stingy. I've already explained the word frugal, frugality, someone who saves money, someone who thinks about their future, so that we say frugality. But stingy also want to save money, but there is a subtle difference and kind of a huge difference. So frugal, someone who is careful about spending money, they don't want to waste their money or the resources that they have. They are very smart, they're very responsible, they're very disciplined. Whereas stingy, someone who's unwilling to share with people, someone who's unwilling to spend money, often excessively, in a way that is selfish, like they want to have everything to their own. So that we say stingy. If you want to understand in a simpler way, a frugal person is someone who buys a second-hand car. So instead of buying a brand new one, he goes for the second-hand one because it's much cheaper, and also he can save some extra money. So that is a frugal person. Whereas stingy person is someone, for example, you see a student in your class who doesn't even want to share snacks with you. That is stingy. When everyone decides to do charity, someone refuses. Someone doesn't want to give their money to do charity. So that is a stingy one. Now, can you understand? Frugal is smart, intentional spending. Stingy is selfish. So these are the three pairs. Let's recall. Loquacious versus Garrulous. Loquacious, someone who's so expressive in the way they talk, admired. And Garrulous, someone who talks aimlessly for hours and making others to get away from them. And number 2 is Tenacious versus Obstinate. Both refer to someone who doesn't give up, but one is about their goals, focused on their life to improve for the better. And Obstinate is someone who doesn't want to give up in their negative traits and refuses to change. Stubbornness, adamant, so that we say Obstinate. Number 3 is Frugal versus Stingy. So Frugal is someone who saves money in a wise way and spends money carefully, but also content with their life. Whereas Stingy is someone who's selfish and someone who doesn't want to share their things with others. So that we say stingy. So these are the 6 different words, and I hope you learned these words. Make sure to use these words in your conversation and improve your communication.